Hi guys, how you all doing? I've just been reading through the comments from some of you who are already here with me. Um, let's see, Marie Thomas, looking forward to your live show today. Jeanette Persons, so she's missing the podcast now, but is going to watch it when she gets back. Anna Mae Foley, how you doing from Fitchburg, Mass? A beautiful day here. I sure will enjoy seeing you with Robin McGraw. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys right now, Robin has not checked in yet. We'll see if she does. And she, sometimes when you have a guest from California, they think it's 1 o'clock live California time. So we'll see what's happening. And if she's here, she's here. If not, maybe I'll just pop in with her one day in the next week or two. We'll see. And if not, I'm going to make this an Ask Joan session. And you guys can ask me your questions. I'll answer anything. So let's see. Anna Mae's from Fitchburg, Mass. Laurette, I hope I'm saying Laurette Axley from Bartlett, Tennessee. Deb Robertson from Falls Church, Virginia. Rebecca Franick, hi. Good to have you here with us again today. Oh, have a great vacation in Maine. We'll miss the shows. They've been great. So this is our annual big transition week. We've been packing all week and loading up the cars because we all kind of go up in a caravan. And we have Jeff's parents who also caravan up with us. It's going to be really strange, you guys. I think most of you know my husband owns summer camps in Maine for children. They're basically like resorts for a lot of kids and a lot of young people, late teens, but mostly early 20s who are counselors. And a lot of people who have worked for Jeff literally they've been at Camp Tacoho for 30, 40 years. And they're mostly teachers or retired teachers who come up, and we're going to drive in there and there's not going to be any kids. It wasn't just a big financial decision to shut the camp down, but it's a big emotional decision. It's going to be really, I know it's not going to be easy for my husband. Let's see. From Naples, Florida, Sandy Stockdale. And now tomorrow we're going to caravan up to Naples, Maine. And who else do we have here? Cindy Abood saying have a wonderful summer. And Donna Lynn, Matt Betley. Hi, Matt. Bet McKee from Toledo, Ohio. Cheryl Cunningham saying hi, Laura. I think it's Hargis. Diane Jewell, cool day in Sacramento. My hometown, Sacramento. That's where I started. And Cricket, can't believe it's moved to camp weekend. I usually move this weekend as well because I know you work with camps. Donnell Anderson from Carrollton and Fredericksburg, Texas. All right, I think I see that we have Robin on. Janet Forrester from Utah. Karen Lavelle from St. Louis. All right. Brenda Hidalgo from Buffalo, New York. All right, you guys. Oh, aloha from Hawaii. Hi, Kanani. I hope I said your name right. Johnny Berry from, is it Oceanside, California? And Rita Birch from Dallas. All right, you guys. So let me get started. It's June 12th, and you know how I am. I always look for what national holidays we observe. So this is Crowded Nest Awareness Day. I don't really know, how do these holidays get on this official list? I don't really understand, but Crowded Nest Awareness Day. I think a lot of people during the pandemic, I know a lot of my friends have their college kids home with them right now. And I would presume that they probably feel like their nest is just a little bit crowded. It's also National Peanut Butter Cookie Day, if you're into that. National Flip Flop Day. That says summer, doesn't it? But here's the one I picked that I like the most today. It's National Loving Day. I know Hallmark probably put it on the list, but come on. Isn't that nice? We can still let it serve as a little reminder to us to tell those people that we love them. When you express that, sometimes couples get to the point where they fall into this quiet marriage. It's not a bad marriage. It's just quiet. The two of you are just living there in the same house, but you're just quiet. So if you say, honey, I just want to say, I really love you. I'm so happy that you're my mate, whatever it is you guys, your lingo, because here's a great quote. Oh, yes, from my book. That's the shameless plug for the day. Why did I come into this room? Life is a mirror. If you frown at it, it frowns back. If you smile, it returns the greeting. Here's another one by Judith Guess. People who keep stiff upper lips find that it's damn hard to smile. And then this one is really lovely. Laughter is the brush that sweeps away the cobwebs of the heart. So, I love this one too. It's just unknown. A person without humor is like a car without shock absorbers. So, it's TGIF, it's Friday, and I am going to wrap up this week, you guys, with a fabulous woman. You're going to love her, Robin McGraw. Now, some of you may know her because you watch the Dr. Phil show, and her husband's Dr. Phil. What I love about that show, besides he's awesome. I was just on his show not too long ago. But at the end of the show, if you watch it, you have to have noticed. He says goodbye, and he gets up and he walks over, and Robin is always there in the audience, and he takes her by the hand and they walk off together. I love that. They're great role models for a loving, supportive marriage. But I got to tell you, Robin McGraw, she is a force unto herself. Not only is she a television personality, she has a podcast, I've Got a Secret. I was just on her podcast. She's also a philanthropist, and I really want to talk to her about that. And she's a #1 New York Times bestselling author. Just some of her books. What's Age Got to Do with It? I love that title. Living Your Healthiest and Happiest Life. From My Heart to Yours, Life Lessons on Faith, Family, and Friendship. And Inside My Heart, Choosing to Live with Passion and Purpose. I just think that some of those book titles really tell you a lot about this woman. As part of her commitment to inspire other women to live their best lives, she launched When Georgia Smiled, the Robin McGraw Revelation Foundation. And she says that her goal is to try to enact some real change by creating and advancing programs that help women and children, especially those affected by domestic violence. And she wants to help women live healthy, safe, and joy-filled lives. You think maybe we were separated at birth or something? We seem to have some of the same passions and same goals. So let's say hi to Robin. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Well, now I have you with me, and it was fun. I had a great time the other day being on your podcast. It's called I've Got a Secret. Tell us why you named it that.
Well, okay, so it's so funny because Philip was the one that suggested I have a podcast, and I said, yeah, I think that sounds like a lot of fun. He had already started his, it had been launched. He had launched it now at 6 months or whatever, and he said, just decide what you want to talk about and the name of it, and so I did. So flash forward to one evening, I came home and I said, guess what? I've thought of a name of the podcast. And he said, okay, what is it? And we were having dinner and he was eating. I said, no, you have to be looking at me when I tell you. And so I put my hands up and I went, I've got a secret. And so really I named it that because I feel like we all, as women, we all have these secrets to share. Things we've learned from our mothers, our grandmothers, and just ourselves from our friends throughout life that really, when we share them, may make a huge difference in another woman's life, in anyone's life. So it's like, I've got a secret and I'm ready to share it. So with every podcast, it's like The Secret to, and it's just, they've just all been wonderful. The Secret to Turning Your Dreams into a Reality. The
Yeah, I looked
Secret
it
to,
up. I looked up the podcast and I love it. The secret to moving forward was one.
yes,
The secret to turning your dreams into a reality.
that's a
The secret,
series I started.
the secret to dating from a distance.
That's
That's going on right now.
right now.
The secret to staying active at home. It goes on and on, but I want to read you the title of mine that I just did. The secret to rocking any age. I love
Yes.
that. I'm glad you named that mine that.
I did that on purpose because I knew after having your book and just knowing you so well and being around you after you were on Philip's show and we were backstage and we got to visit, I felt like we clicked, and I
Yes.
you do rock every age.
Well, thank you. But you and I seem to share a similar passion, and thank goodness some of us do share this. I just listen to all the comments all the time on from my followers here, and women love the camaraderie. They love the fact that we share with each other. And also you and I both write books, and we write books about women and for women. I just loved the title, What's Age Got to Do It with It? Every time I say it, I feel like I've got to do a little Tina Turner also.
It's really true, because when I named it that, it's like I really truly have always felt that way. And I really feel like, what's age got to do with it? Don't ever, and that's the message I wanted to say then. And I always have felt this way and always want to say, like, don't let age, a number, change how you feel about the way you live your life, the way you look forward to the coming years, and the way you are present in your life today.
And don't you feel it's like you go through your 30s and your 40s, and somehow when you get into your 50s, you start using this qualifier. Is this skirt too short for my age? Are these jeans too ripped for my age? I hate that qualifier.
I don't even say that. You know what? I honestly, I live what I say, because in what I believe in and what I feel. I don't really believe that there is a certain age. Of course, let me stop right there. Of course, there are certain things maybe that we all feel about a time in our life when it comes to wardrobe, or, maybe hairstyle, makeup. I don't know. But for my age is for my age and what I believe in and what I feel. And I don't let the influence of others dictate what I do in my life and what I believe in and how I feel about my age. I really don't.
I watched, I guess it was your husband's new podcast. You were on it. And I mean, just meeting you, you're just this effervescent, positive little powerhouse. And I saw that when you were interviewed, Dr. Phil talked to you about Oprah. Now, you and I talked about this because Oprah, of course, launched your husband's show, and that was a huge life change. You guys picked up from Texas, where you'd always been living, and moved to LA.
Yes,
and that was huge. But you talked about on that podcast how Oprah had a huge impact on your outlook on life. How so?
Well, because let me just start by saying I love change. I love looking forward to something new. I'm really into tradition, so I keep the present and the past with me at all times when it comes to family and our all in the lives we've created together, of course. But I love change, new adventure. So when we had the decision to make, do we pick up this life here in Texas and change everything and go to California? I was like, yes, let's do it. And
that's awesome.
It's just like whatever opportunity we have to do something new and make a change, I'm always for it. I look forward. I say, yes, let's do this. So of course I did feel that way. And what I believe was the turning point to it being a very positive experience was the kind heart and the very sincere devotion of Oprah to make sure, because she felt like, and she did play such a huge part in this change in our life, was her devotion to making sure she could do whatever she could to prepare me and my family for this drastic change. And so she did do that. She would call me and she would prepare me for what lied ahead. Like she said, okay, so you have this anonymous life you're living in Texas, essentially. And here's what lies ahead. And she covered every aspect.
Well, it's almost, I think it's always easier to go into change if you can imagine it and that you get that input so you know what you're going into. Then it's not so scary.
Yes, because while looking forward to it and being very excited about it, it was a complete unknown. And so nobody is, no one's perfect. No one knows, even though I was like, let's load up the truck and move to Beverly. Like, okay, let's do it. But what is going to happen once we get there? I was very excited about it and proud because I have always believed, and I've said this to you before, I think on the podcast we did together on mine, I said, I've always believed Philip was brilliant. I've always thought he's a brilliant man and has so much wisdom to share. And when I see that he's presented with this opportunity to have a platform that he can spread wisdom and insight to the entire world, I was all for it. I was very, very excited. It doesn't mean, though, that it's all going to be a bed of roses. Doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. So to have her wisdom, her experience shared with me before we ever came out here made all the difference in the world to me.
And that's such a good example of women sharing with other women and being supportive.
That's right. Caring enough to tell the secrets that will change someone else's life.
You and I, because one of my mottos is that whenever anyone asks you if you can do something, just say yes.
That's exactly
figure out how to do it.
And I kind of have that attitude. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn or I don't know if it's birth order. I believe in all kinds of things, but I've always had the attitude, there isn't anything I can't do. If it needs to be done, I'm going to do it. Maybe it's because I've always been the only woman in the house and raised two young men and been married to a strong man, but I don't know. There isn't anything I can't do.
So we tell us about Jay and Jordan, right? Those are your boys.
Yes.
And they both went into entertainment.
Basically, yes, they both are in the entertainment industry. Jay behind the scenes and Jordan in front of the scenes. Okay,
so behind the scenes, that's working. Is it at the Doctors, right? Or
well, Jay created the show The Doctors. Yes, and many other shows, plus many businesses that are not necessarily just entertainment, but he's an entrepreneur. He's just as brilliant as his father. He graduated law school at SMU in Texas before he moved out here, but with never the intentions of practicing law. He just wanted that credibility,
that knowledge.
Yes. So, but yes, he created the show The Doctors. And like I said, many other shows played a big part in creating the show Bull with his father, and just a long list of phenomenal shows, and also other businesses that he's created, Doctor on Demand, and he's brilliant. And then our youngest son, Jordan, is a musician, very talented musician, just finished midway. I'm going to say 2/3 of the way of the Happiness Begins tour. He opened for the Jonas Brothers, but of course then the pandemic hit, and they're all home right now waiting to finish that tour, and hopefully that'll happen soon or one day. But he's in front of the cameras, and he is and of course I'm his mother, but I think he's very talented, and he's a songwriter, producer. He's very, very talented as well.
Oh, very proud of my children. Two wonderful boys, which kind of says a lot for the woman who raised them. We have a Sherry Pollard is saying, "Hi, Joan and Robin. I have never been good with change, but as I am 59, I welcome it so much more. I'm finding being open to new things has made me happier." Absolutely, and I think that sometimes also comes with age. To me, that's the silver lining. Don't you think so, Robin?
Yes. You know what? I think with age, of course, this is not a cliche. I think it's true that that with age comes wisdom, because
Yeah.
with experience comes wisdom. And the way I look at it is, I've always loved change, but I believe that in your 20s, you're anticipating your life. You're busy trying to set the foundation of what it is
Yeah.
maybe you want to do. And you don't necessarily know what that is, but you're working hard to set the foundation. 30s and 40s, you're working hard to create that life you've decided you want to live, or working hard to create your life. And if it's to be married and have children, create the family, your career, to do it all, whatever it is. But 30s and 40s, from my experience, was working really hard to just create that life. And I didn't have time really to think about too much of a change off that path. And then when I entered my 50s, I was on my way to finishing up that huge chore, that job of what I had created. My boys were one off to college, the other one just about to. We made the huge change to come here. So change was easier. A major change was easier in my 50s. And my 50s and 60s have just been full of excitement. I love change even more. And now I'll say, because I'm 66, I'm going to be honest to tell you that the 60s have been the best. 60s rock.
See, I agree.
Yes.
I couldn't agree more. Nobody should be afraid of the 60s. They are
No.
awesome. You're comfortable in your own skin, right?
Run right into them. Run right into them.
Yes.
And just jump, big giant leap into the 60s.
Because you're also, I think, more comfortable in your own skin. You're more confident.
Yes.
There's just, here, Bernadette Henke, 70s are too. Who gives a hoot about anything?
I love it. What's age got to do with it?
Yeah, that's what, like, when I was writing my book, my husband would every now and then say, you can't say that. Like, I have a chapter on bladder leakage, and I called it, I laughed so hard, tears rolled down my leg. And my husband said, you can't say that. And I said, well, now I can say it for sure, because I'm talking to a bunch of ladies and they're going to laugh.
I love, you know what I do love also about getting older and having that experience I just talked about? If you're really honest, look at what we can prepare the younger women for. Because if it happens, there are certain degrees in which it happens. And if you have taken care of yourself and you're started in your 20s, if you start in your 20s and you take care of yourself and you exercise, you take your vitamins, your calcium, your supplements, and you do what you can, because those of us who have been there and gone through it, and we are here now, and we know what worked and didn't work. If you just pay attention to those who have gone before you, you will be better prepared when you get older. Maybe you won't have so many tears running down your leg, but it's true. Pay attention.
Well, on that note, here's Mandy Frisbee. She says, what advice do you have as I close out my 40s?
Oh.
Well, that's that. Hit the ground running into your 50s, right?
That's right. That's right. Hit the ground running. Take everything you've learned, everything you loved about your 20s, 30s, and 40s, apply that now, celebrate that. And if there's something that you thought you needed to do, you had to do, or someone made you do and you didn't want to, that's not who you are anymore, sift that right on out of your life and replace it with everything you can celebrate about you.
Well, that's interesting, because I was reading, or I heard it, I always look at a lot of interviews before I interview somebody. You've talked about how you made a decision when you were growing up that you never wanted to live with regret. That's a pretty grown-up thought to have when you're a young person, but it's a wonderful way to live your life.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I wish I knew how far back I decided that, but I really did. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I absolutely adored my father, absolutely adored him. But he was an alcoholic, and he would go off and he would drink. He never drank around the family. And so we never knew when he was going to just not come home. And then when he wouldn't come home, and then we thought, oh no, this is it. And then, so then we didn't know when he would come home. So it caused me to live my life with uncertainty. And that was something I didn't want to do as I got older and created a family of my own. I didn't want to have that regret that I had done that to my children, because I knew my father adored me. He adored my brother, my sisters, and my mother. And he had that regret that he raised all of us with that illness, that sickness that he had. And so I saw that in his eyes, and I always saw that every day. And I didn't want that. And I also, because of that, made a decision when I was very young, maybe even 13, 14 years old, that I would never marry a man who drank alcohol. And I would never raise my children in a home with an alcoholic.
So you say that before, you guys, I think you and Phil have been together for maybe 4 years or so. And then before getting married, you sat down and had a discussion about marriage deal breakers. This is such a phenomenal idea. More people should do this. So
we had like a lot of conversations, of conversations about them. Yes.
So
yes, we really did. We were together 3 years before we got married. We will, let's see, this is mid-June. So in about 2 months, we'll celebrate 44 years of marriage. And I can remember those conversations like they were yesterday. And, you know, we still have the conversations. They're just not so lengthy and profound as they were then, because we don't need to have those anymore. We had the necessary conversations before we got married, and they were all about how we both grew up. His father was also an alcoholic. So of course we had the conversations that were important to us about coming together as a couple and creating a life together, and what we could and could not accept. What we wanted, could accept, and what we thought would make the perfect life together. Of course, we know there's no such thing, but what we thought would really put us in the right direction for a beautiful, happy, contented life together. And so we had so many conversations. Of course, at the time, I didn't know that I was marrying the future Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
You know, as everyone else knows him, I knew he would be Dr. Phil McGraw, but we had all those conversations because, like you just mentioned, when I was very young, I made so many decisions within myself.
Yeah, in your heart.
Yes, we had lots of conversations, and I will tell you, we both became very vulnerable. It's so important. We became vulnerable enough to say, this is what will. This is a deal breaker, or this is what will break my heart if you do this, or this is what will really upset me, make me sad. It's not just make me mad, but make me sad, will break my heart.
Well, everybody's agreeing. Everybody's saying, here's Jerry Krakoff. You were so wise at a very young age, because I think, you know, as most people, if they're in their 20s, early 30s, that when most people tend to get married, you want it to happen, and therefore you almost don't want to ask the question. But it's so much wiser to ask the questions ahead of time and not find out, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years later that you can't live with this person forever.
That's right. And that was a goal of mine. Like, once I got married, it was going to be forever. It was going to be happily ever after. It was going to be forever. And I made sure he knew that, and he made sure that I knew that. And so it was just, here's what I need. And, you know, he like I said, he was vulnerable enough to tell me, here's what I cannot tolerate. Here are some of the things that I cannot accept. And they were things that no one would understand. No, it wasn't like, I can't take, you know, you nagging. I mean, it wasn't anything like that, because I'm not a nagger, but anyway, but he was vulnerable enough to tell me, here's what you could do to really upset me. And here are the things that I personally can never get over if you ever did it, or if you ever said it. And so after 47 years, but 44 years of marriage, I know what I could say to upset him, to break his heart. And I choose not to do that. because I know he told me. So
Yeah.
if I do it full well knowing.
Absolutely. Here's Ann Smith Davis. She said they did the same thing before they married, and they've been married for 54 years.
Bravo.
Woo-hoo!
Bravo. Bravo.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
why would you want to do something you know will upset someone? You know will break their heart. You know will make them sad.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I mean, 54 and you dated for 44 years, plus you dated for 4, that's 48. You guys have been together for almost 50 years. First
yes,
of all,
40, almost 48 years.
Was it love at first sight?
You don't find it so funny? People have asked that, and a lot of people have their opinion on that. For me, it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
It really was. It was love at first evening, love at first date, love at first meeting. Yes. Yes, it really was.
It was love
maybe not. Maybe not. Like, I'm sorry.
I think it was love at first sight. Like when I first saw my husband, Jeff, I was like, oh my God, I would like to spend my life with this person. That he just emanated character and
yes. It wasn't like mad love.
Yeah, lust love.
Oh my God, this man. I wish he'd take me in his arms right this minute. It wasn't that, because he was a real grouch when we first met him, but it was, I saw past that. And it was that night, it was like, I knew in my heart, this is the man that I need to be with for the rest of my life, because I felt so safe and so protected and loved. And he didn't even know it.
So you asked me a few questions when I was on your show. So my turn.
Okay, good.
Okay. You said, why do you think women are uncomfortable talking about their age?
I've always wondered why that is. And it's not because I now live in Hollywood. I've always believed that when I lived in Texas and everything. And I don't know, I believe it's because they've been influenced by something that tells them it's a negative, that getting older is a negative. I believe maybe it's generational. Maybe their grandmother and their mother have said getting older is just horrible. It's horrible. There's a change in this, or you can't do this anymore. I believe it has to be something they've been told by someone they respect or love. And so it's just a fixed belief that they've lived with.
You know, that's interesting, because I think most of us think it's society, it's all the magazines, it's all the advertisers, and it is all that. I mean, but I think you're right. I think it's past generations that have these tapes running our head of thousands of hours of things we've been told.
Yes, it just gets worse as you get older, but it's not true. And so it's like, it's what you tell yourself that matters, not what someone else tells you. If you want to wear that short skirt, wear it if you're comfortable with it. And
by the way, I kept it on that day. But do you think men struggle with this at all?
I do. I really do. I really do. I think men do struggle with age. I do. Why not? Why wouldn't they?
Women talk about it because we're talkers.
Yes. But men are vain, not in a bad way. I think it's a positive thing to be vain enough about yourself to want to take care of yourself and be at your best, and to always feel like you're at your best. And maybe in men, that I call that being vain right now, because we're talking about age. But I don't see how they could not worry about or think about age.
Have you had a favorite age? I forget how I answered this question, but do you have a favorite age?
Well, I don't think I've had it yet, because
great answer.
I really don't think I've had it yet. I haven't dreaded what age, of course, obviously, and I'm still having so much fun. I'm still enjoying, but I keep saying my 60s have been phenomenal.
I know, me too. And 50s. My 50s were phenomenal.
My 50s were great. I think one reason why I felt like my 50s were so great is because I had a lot of major life celebrations. When you have either one child, two, or however many, and that last one leaves the nest to go to college, to go to work, to go out on their own. that's something you can pat yourself on the back for, because you've done your job to prepare them for that. So that's something to celebrate. And that happened in my 50s. I became a grandmother in my 50s. I felt like my 50s, the whole decade was really a decade for celebration. A lot of life changes.
A lot of good
time,
stuff.
a lot of opportunity to look back and go, wow, look at what's gone on, and look where we are now. And so then 60s, it's just been about really taking advantage of doing what I want to do and having a lot of fun doing it and being creative. And I don't know, I feel like I've blossomed. I've blossomed into taking care of myself even more, and allowing myself to do some things I've really always wanted to do, just more of it.
Here we have Martine Dorsey. She says, I will always tell anyone my age, but the 70s are challenging me. Okay, so I always am totally honest in my books, I'm pretty candid, and so is Robin. I'll be 70 in September.
I can't believe it. Only I say that, I can't believe it, because you are just rocking along, and you look amazing, you sound amazing, you act amazing, you're happy, focused, you've got so much energy. I just love it.
Well, we had a brain expert on yesterday, Dr. Daniel Amen. He's probably been on. Isn't he fabulous?
I love him.
So, well, we've had some wonderful guests this week talking about brain health, because June is Brain Health Month. And he said in the interview, look, Joan, frailty and disengagement from life, that's what makes people old. That's what people die from. You have to stay engaged and keep challenging your mind. He said, look what you did. The pandemic hit, and instead of just sitting around for 3 months, you started doing live Facebook every day at 1, and you have to prepare for those interviews. You have to read research. You have to write the interview. And all of a sudden, like I'm wrapping this up and taking a little bit of a vacation, I was almost ready to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't stop this.
I know. It's
that's what, you are doing that. You've also been, I don't know whether you started the skincare line in your 50s or 60s, but you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Which, you have to have some resilience and some confidence to do that. The skincare line is called Revelation.
Yes.
Wanting to help other women look their best. But you also launched When Georgia Smiled, the Robin McGraw Revelation Foundation, and to help other women live their best lives. So I love this. Tell us about the foundation and what it's able to do.
Proud of the foundation. I'm very, very proud of the foundation. I've always wanted to do something like my foundation. Of course, who doesn't? So when we moved out here and changed our lives so drastically, and I started going I went to the very first show, and that's a long story, but it ended up going to every show. I would sit in every show and think, gosh, what can I do? This can't be just about me coming up here to support my husband and support the staff and support. What can I do? And I would sit through every show, and the ones that moved me the very most, so much, were those on domestic violence and sexual assault. And it's not limited to just women and children. Men suffered also. However, the shows that we did, the high percentage would be women and children. And I would just be so moved, not only by their courage to come onto the show to seek help, tell their story, but also those women who had been through it, who wanted to always come back and pay it forward and help them. And it would always be such a strong nucleus of women helping other women, and with the focus of getting the children out of the home. And so I knew that was what I needed to do. No, I didn't live in a home with domestic violence. My mother was adored by my father. So the reason I named it When Georgia Smiled, of course, after my mother, was in part because when my father would leave the home, and like I said, uncertain, we never knew when that was going to happen. And he would go off to drink. He would go on a binge. We never knew how long that was going to last. We never knew when when he was going to come home. And we grew up very poor. My father was a car salesman. but he was a very good golfer, and he would go to a public golf course that he belonged to and play on the weekends, and that's when it would start. And so while he was gone, and however long that was, my mother was our rock. There were 5 of us children, and she was our rock. And the stress that that woman was under, I believe a large part of it is the reason I lost her when she was 58 years old. But the strength that that woman showed when he was gone to make sure all of us felt safe. She had this smile on her face.
That's so great.
That wasn't just on the front of her face. It came from her heart.
Yeah.
It came from the depth of her soul. It sparkled in her eyes. She looked at us and just enveloped us with that smile, and it hugged us, and it rocked us almost, and it told us that everything's going to be okay. And that's what got me through all of that. And it's that same sense of peace, that same sense of knowing everything's going to be okay, that I want to give, send, and help these women and children who are seeking help, hopefully wanting to find a way to get out of that situation. It's that same sense of peace and joy that my mother's smile gave to me, that I hope to create a way to give to those who suffer from domestic violence. And that is why I named it Georgia Smiled.
You know how much it helped you and your siblings. You know, they say the 3 keys to aging successfully are staying engaged in life. You certainly are. Keeping all your social connections, having friends, sharing of yourself. And the third thing is having a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And don't you think that that's one of the things, this being able to have this sense of purpose that just keeps you engaged and keeps you kind of glowing from the inside and aging gracefully?
Yes, because I truly believe if just a small part of what my foundation can succeed will change the life of even one child, one woman, one man, then I will live forever. It's possible I can live forever, because I
love that thought. That's great. I'm right there with you.
Thank you. I'm so proud of when we launched. I turned to the advisory board of Dr. Phil Show, and he's got some brilliant minds that make up his advisory board, professors and nuns and doctors. The professors are from Yale, Harvard, Stanford, just amazing, brilliant minds that contribute to the show. And so I turned to them, and we created an interactive program on the site, whengeorgiasmiled.org. So you can go to the site, and it's a very educational program, and it's designed for young teens, tweens, young adults, and adults to help educate everyone about domestic violence. And it's got so many answers there, because a lot of people sometimes don't even know they're being abused, don't even know that they've been brought up and raised in a home with domestic violence. And it also educates on how to leave safely, how to exit that situation safely. It's very, very important, because that's the time when the highest rate of death and this most serious violence occurs, is when they want to exit that relationship in that place. And so we give so much information. And then we also launched the Aspire News app, and it's an app on your phone that appears as a current news app. And we have probably 15 at least. Right now, I'd have to look again almost weekly. I check to see how many news apps, USA Today, Huffington Post, CNN, Lampiñon, it runs current news. So to the naked eye, to maybe your abuser, that's what it appears as. And but if you're in a situation as a victim, and things are getting to the point where you need to be rescued immediately, there is a go button there. I won't tell right now exactly where it is, but you'll know. You tap it 3 times quickly, and it immediately sends a message to pre-selected contacts, those that you decide you want it to go to. And it can even go to the police, but you can decide and tell them, when you get this message, and the message can say anything, it's like, come now, this is when we talked about, do the thing we talked about, whatever.
That's great.
And then those contacts can tell each other, they'll already know, I'm the closest, I'm headed there, has a GPS tracking device in case your abuser is taking you away from your location. And so and when we launched with that app, it was named as one of the top 2 most important apps at helping to help not only educate, but help stop the domestic violence on Capitol Hill. So I'm very, very proud of that. It's now been downloaded probably almost 1 million times across the world. Of course, it's free. And I'm so proud of it. And what I'm really proud of, it's not only used in this situation, but it's used for parents who are downloading the app for their children when they go away to college. People are downloading it when they join dating sites. So it's a very, very app that's very helpful in very serious situations. Very proud of it.
Yeah, keeping people safe.
Yes.
Isn't it awesome, that you can take what contacts you have and what strength you have and put something together like that can make such a big impact on other people's life.
Thank you. And that's what I thought, sitting there in that chair every day, thought, okay, I have this opportunity. Philip has this platform. I'm sitting here. What can I do? What can I do to pay it forward?
So in my office, can we put up the app is called again?
The Aspire News app.
The Aspire News app. And listen, the podcast, I've got a secret. What day?
I've got a secret.
There's the Aspire News app, so you see it right there. And tell us, what days does the podcast air?
We launch every Tuesday evening late, of course. So a new one launches every Wednesday.
Okay.
Yes.
So every Wednesday, a new one.
Yes. You can go to I'veGotASecretWithRobinMcGraw.com and see all kinds of behind the scenes things and blog. We have a blog there and all kinds of fun things.
And you can see that going along the bottom of the screen right here. So you can find out everything else that Robin is doing. It's been wonderful having you here. You guys are such an amazing couple.
You're a doll. You're a doll. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you. Everybody, we'll say bye to Robin. Mwah.
I love you. Love you.
All right, everyone. It is Friday. Tomorrow's big moving day for me. I will be posting from the end of my dock. This is going to be an unusual summer, when your whole business is summer camps for children and they're not there, but we look at it as a once in a lifetime. I mean, hopefully this will never happen again. It'll be a once in a lifetime opportunity for our family and our extended family to all get together, and they're coming in from all over so that we can all, water ski and work out and play tennis and kind of let the camp be our playground. So I'm really looking forward to that. But you guys have all been fantastic being here with me every day. So next week, I'll keep you guys informed. I got a couple of interviews coming up with people that I'm doing for A Place for Moms. So I'll let you know. I'm doing a lot of publicity still, Good Morning Everything and talk shows around the country. Just to keep those book sales there for when you come out with a book and the world closes down the next day. So you are all fabulous, and I thank you. You're my peeps. You're my crew, and I will keep on posting. All right. Thanks for everybody saying have a great time, and I'll be there on Long Lake in Naples, Maine. Mwah. All right. Namaste, everyone.